ready to go. You're going to see me come back and try to mess with stuff. We're almost ready to go,
Okay.
but I think you're going to see me come back and mess
That's
with
fine. Just give me the high sign when you're ready, please. Good. Okay, thank you. And the link's not up. Perfect. Good morning. My name is Paul Woodville, Chairman of the Maryland Transportation Authority Board. Today is Thursday, May 29th, 2025, and I hereby call the meeting of the MDTA Board to order at 9 a.m. This morning, we're having our meeting in person at MDTA headquarters, and in accordance with live streaming law, this meeting is being live streamed on the MDTA board webpage. I would like to say welcome to the members and staff who are with us today. As a reminder, I ask that anyone who is in the room with us this morning to refrain from speaking unless you're presenting or answering a question to avoid background noise on the live stream. I would also like to ask the members to speak loudly and clearly so those in the back of the room are able to hear you. Also, please say your name when motioning or seconding to help with meeting minutes. There are no members of the public, no elected officials, and no media who have pre-registered to comment at this morning's meeting. For those who are watching this meeting via the live stream, we have posted the materials for today's meeting on the MDTA webpage so that you can follow along if you would like. Before beginning with today's agenda, I would like to ask the board to approve an amendment to the agenda to add a new closed session item for today's meeting to discuss litigation pending in the federal court involving the state regarding the Francis Scott Key Bridge docket case number 24-CV-000941. Is there a motion to approve an amendment to the agenda to add to the closed session item?
So moved.
Member Cox.
Second, Member Carroll.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. The new agenda item has been added. I will now begin with today's agenda. The first agenda item is the approval of the open session meeting minutes of April 24th, 2025. Is there a motion?
Member Ardinger, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The second agenda item is the closed session meeting minutes of April 24th, 25. To approve those, is there a motion?
Motion to approve, Member Cordova?
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second, Member Carroll.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Third agenda item is a series of contract awards. Mr. Davis?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, members of the board. For the record, my name is Jeff Davis with the Division of Procurement here at the MDTA. If you would allow me, right before I begin, I wanted to introduce Ms. Patty Tracy. I told her I wouldn't embarrass her. She's our new Deputy Director of Procurement. She's been with us for a couple months, and now I'm having her dip her toes into our authority board process. She, will at some point be my proxy in the future.
Great.
So I wanted her, to get comfortable to know your guys' names and faces. So
Thank you.
thank you for that. Okay, first contract I'm presenting is contract MA 3017, radio rebroadcast systems for the Fort McHenry Tunnel and Baltimore Harbor Tunnel. We are looking to seek approval from the MDTA board to execute contract MA 3017. The work to be performed under this contract is located at the Fort McHenry Tunnel and Baltimore Harbor Tunnel on I-95 and I-895 in Baltimore City. The existing RRBS in both tunnels has reached its end of life and has no flexibility to be upgraded. The contract will design, furnish, install, configure, integrate, test, commission, and warrant a new RRBS system for FMT and BHT. MDTA received a single proposal for this contract. The procurement officer reviewed the proposal and found the vendor to be responsible and the pricing to be fair and reasonable. The project manager reviewed the technical qualifications and found the vendor to be qualified to do this work at a high level. Procurement, engineering, and construction are confident that awarding the single proposal is in the best interest of the MDTA and the state. You will note that the contract had an MBE goal of 6% and the VSBE goal of 1%, and the proposal submitted by SICE Incorporated exceeds that at 7.4% overall MBE and 1.45% VSBE. You'll see the engineer's estimate at $4.9 million and the proposal amount at $5.7 million, which was a 14% variance. Due to this being an RFP, the final price was BAFO'd and included some options that raised the price slightly above our original estimate, but these were options that we felt were a big improvement to the contract. And also, due to the length of time of the awarding process of the single proposal, took a lot of vetting. The price also included some inflation in labor costs and materials.
Great. Any questions?
Any questions?
Just thoughts as to why there was only one proposal given on this.
So we send out, typically when we only get a single or less than 3 or so proposals, we'll send out what we call no bid notices. And the bulk of them, it wasn't their specific skill set, and it wasn't, they didn't have the staffing or the bandwidth to complete the work at this time. And interesting, the vendor that's in there now, not the prime, but one of the major subcontractors actually proposed with this team this time. And we're bringing in the experience that they had as a sub on the previous contract, and it just made them a very strong team.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Van Perren?
Just a follow-up question to Member Ardinger's question. And what can we do in the future to make it more competitive, to try to reach out to other people? I guess if we can do that,
Yes,
I think
yes,
that would
so
be
yes,
beneficial.
So the general practice is when we don't have any evidence of competition, we will reach out proactively. At the time, we thought there might be more competition at the proposal stage because of interest during the solicitation.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
How do you benchmark pricing if there's no competition for the job?
Well, that's where we'll work with engineering. We'll work with their cost estimating team. But I would say it comes from the engineer's estimate, and any variation from that estimate is evaluated to find out if the change is reasonable or not. And the engineering team that reviewed the pricing felt that it was fair for the current market.
Any other questions? If not, is there a motion to approve MA 3017 contract?
So moved. Member Cox?
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you very
Aye.
much.
Thank you so much. Excellent questions. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Next contract is contract number HT 3020 for the Baltimore Harbor Tunnel Lane Use Signal Extension. The work to be performed under this contract is located at the IA-95 Baltimore Harbor Tunnel facility between the north portal of BHT and north of Lombard Street Interchange in Baltimore City. The project will extend the existing lane use signal system through the corridor to improve the two-way traffic operations in the tunnel. The low bid was received from McLean Contracting Company. The MBE goal was 19% and 1% VSBE, and they had proposed a 23.21% MBE goal, and they matched the 1% VSBE goal. Their bid was 5% above the engineer's estimate. So a bid justification was not performed, and there was no protests received.
Thank you. Any questions? If not, is there a motion?
Member Ganjami, I move for approval.
Second?
Member Ardinger, I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Moving on, contract MA 3023 generator replacements at various facilities. We're seeking approval from the MDTA board to execute contract number MA 3023. The scope of this project is to remove and replace 4 MDTA-owned generators at 4 locations: the Bay Bridge Admin and Maintenance Building, the JFK Substation, Thomas J. Hayden Maintenance Building, and the Baltimore Harbor Tunnel Maintenance Building. This will be a removal and replacement of existing generators, associated cables, and manual and automatic transfer switches. The work also includes exterior building work as the Bay Bridge location. The Bay Bridge location's generator is the only one that is indoors. You'll see we received 3 bids. Glenelg Construction Incorporated was the lowest bid. The MBE goal was 12%, 1% VSBE, and you'll see that they proposed to exceed the MBE goal, 12.11%, and meet the 1% VSBE. There was no protests, and the bid was within 1% of the engineer's estimate.
Any questions? If not, motion?
Make a motion. Member Cox?
Is there a second?
Second, Member Cordova.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It was a race there. Okay, excellent. Thank you. Moving on to our next one. This is a maintenance contract. This is contract MT 00211-390 for HVAC and ATC maintenance and repairs for MDTA Harry W. Nice Bridge Facility. If you recall, we had awarded a few of these previously, and I said we would be bringing another one. This is one of those that I had discussed. The contract is to provide HVAC and ATC maintenance and water treatment services at the MDTA Harry W. Nice Bridge facility. 3 bids were received, but 1 bid was rejected for being non-responsive. The lowest bidder was then MCOR Services Combustioneer. The amount for this contract is the $635,090.20 for the base 3-year term with a 2-year renewal option of $446,638.05 for a total contract amount of $1,081,728.25. As mentioned, we received 3 bids. 1 was rejected, so we have a single bid here for we have the bid for MCOR, who is not the incumbent. There was no bid protest received, and they met the MBE 14% and VSBE 1% goals. Any questions?
Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question, and it relates to Maximo. Maximo, our software program to manage things such as these purchases where we can track preventive maintenance, we can put warranties in there, and I just want to make sure that we're doing that so that, we have a record of often we buy a warranty with a new HVAC system or generators or whatever.
Right.
I just want to make sure that we're taking care of that and have
Yes, so
using the system.
Yeah, the
maximum.
operations team, they're
Yeah.
heavily using the system.
Okay.
They rely on my procurement's team to enter the BPO, the contract, into the system so that they can manage and track their tasks underneath it. As far as I understand, any reporting that we've said we would be doing in the system is being done or will be implemented. There is an integration process, a project in process, and I think once that's complete, we'll have a very holistic usage of the system.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, is there a motion for approval?
So moved, Member Rosen.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Member Carroll.
Artinger, I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Okay, moving on. This is to seek approval for to execute contract SV 00211-251 for traffic and revenue forecasting services. The purpose of this project is to retain the services of a qualified contractor to provide traffic and revenue forecasting services such as traffic and revenue projections, transportation policy and program development, system analysis, revenue forecasting, and project work order management, as well as other related activities necessary to carry out this work. The amount for this contract is $2,047,005 for a base 3-year term and a single 2-year renewal term for $1,468,358 for a total 5-year contract in the amount of $3,515,336 to CDM Smith. As this contract exceeds MDTA's delegated authority, the award of this contract will be pending approval at the soonest BPW meeting. If you look at the next slide, you will see CDM Smith is the incumbent, and they ranked first financially and technically, so we gave them an overall rank of 1. And the MBE goal of 4% and 1% VSBE was met by their proposal. There were no bid protests.
Any questions? Just one, was the previous contract 3 years with 2-year renewal as well?
Yes,
It
yeah,
was.
so for these professional services contracts, we like the format of a 3-year base term and then a 2-year renewal
So they
option.
had that, okay. Thank you. Is there a motion for approval?
Member Ganjami, I'll move for approval.
Thank you. Second?
Member Von
Sec-
Beers. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, please.
Member Cordova, second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
I believe it's the last one in this section. We're looking for approval from the MDTA board to execute contract number J01B46000043, Rubrik Software Maintenance. This contract will provide backup and recovery functions for MDTA files and applications, allowing MDTA to recover from any critical incident within the MDTA data centers. The software is essential to assist with meeting the business impact analysis that was performed as part of MDTA's disaster recover analyses. The total amount for this contract is $2,375,325 for a term of 3 years. As this contract exceeds the MDTA's delegated authority, the award of this contract will be pending approval at the soonest BPW meeting. So to clarify, in contrast to the previous it's a single 3-year license. This isn't a 3-year with a renewal option. As this is a IT product, those contracts are not done in that same manner. You'll see we had 3 vendors propose. The current vendor, CAS Severn Incorporated, is the incumbent. The price did exceed our original estimate. Our original estimate was based on the cost of services from prior year contracts. And I remember David Goldsboro, our Director of IT, explaining that these price increases were fair and reasonable and in line with the market.
Any questions?
Thank you. I know you said that this increase, that it's over the engineer's estimate, that was the explanation, but I also noticed that in 3 of the previous presentations, that the bids all exceeded the engineer's estimate. Are we beginning to see now, I don't know if there's a fear of tariffs, are you seeing a pattern here?
I think there's an individual analysis that's done. The procurement officer, we will review for reasonableness, but we will reach out to the project manager who will review the bids or proposals compared to up-to-the-date estimates that they might receive from their consultant teams. I would assume, yes, there's the assumption of risk that is added to pricing. There is the inflation costs. There is the labor costs. And I think someone who's well-versed in it could probably tie that back to tariffs. I will say for this one, though, this project was already in motion, and this pricing was available to us, I think, before a lot of that turmoil, because we got this pricing at the beginning of the year.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, is there a motion for approval?
Motion to approve. Member Cordova?
Is there a second?
Second, Member Carroll.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Excellent questions. Thank you.
Great.
Keep me on my toes.
Agenda item number 4 is an update, Mr. Davis.
Yes, so they allowed me to stay in the hot seat for a moment more to discuss the open contract report. You all know how I famously stumble over all of the commas. So since you have the slides in front of you, I am going to give a round number update for each of these categories. So for memorandums of understanding, we have 27 agreements totaling $26.1 million. A&E contracts, we have 71 open contracts with a total of $784.5 million. For construction, we have 35 open contracts at $1.2 billion. For maintenance services, we have 29 contracts at $43.3 million. For services, professional services contracts, we have 18 contracts totaling $34.4 million. And for IT services, we have 26 contracts, IT products and services, 26 contracts at $72.2 million. That's for a total of 206 contracts for $2.2 billion. I did it anyway. $2,206,582,281.33. You'll see below in the little table here, we have highlighted that we have paid of the $2.2 billion. We have paid $956,499,783.01 to date. We have received a purchase order but have not paid on that purchase order, so these are obligated funds. $568,684,159.88. And the remaining open balance, so this is remainders of the contract that we've not received any purchase orders or invoicing on, would be $681,398,338.44. Any questions?
Any questions, Mr. Davis? Okay, thank you for the report.
Okay, thank you so much.
Agenda item number 5 is the approval of contract modifications. Mr. Harkness?
Okay, good morning, members of the board. I am Jim Harkness. I'm the Chief Engineer for the Maryland Transportation Authority, and I'm presenting this item to you today because we are seeking approval for Amendment 1 for contract KB 4903. That is going to be a modification to the Key Bridge Progressive Design Build contract. And this modification includes a not-to-exceed amount in order to begin what we're terming early work packages. So, as you know, last summer, MDTA procured the services of Kiewit Infrastructure Company by an RFP. The board approved that Phase 1 contract for $73 million, and that scope covered project development services. The Phase 1 contract value was subsequently increased by approximately $43 million to allow the contractor to perform data gathering through a test pile and load test program, which was within the scope of the Phase 1 contract. Test pile fabrication of those test piles is underway, and the load test program we expect to begin this summer and extend into early fall. That program, the intent of that program is to gather additional information, which we can then feed back into the designer with information on the soil properties, how the proposed piles for the foundations will react once they're installed in the site, and we can measure the values that we're going to test them with. So recently, design on the project achieved the 50% milestone, and the team is going to continue to advance design into this fall, and then we'll be using all that design as well as the data we're gathering to serve as a basis for our pricing on the Phase 2, which is construction or the delivery of the project. As you are well aware, we had selected a cable-stayed bridge for our replacement project. The critical path for construction on this bridge is the main piers, what we call pylons. Those features will be over 600 feet tall above the water. So while detailed design is continuing to progress, portions of Phase 2 work, so construction work, we feel can be agreed upon at this time and issued as standalone early work packages, and particularly related to these pylon foundations. The foundations are the first steps to allow us to advance construction, and they do take significant time to install and construct. So these standalone early work packages will allow for construction to begin on the project's critical path, so the most important elements to delivering the project. While design is also able to progress at the same time as the contractor is performing this early work, and while MDTA will negotiate a final cost eventually based on the continued design effort. The contract amendment that we're discussing here today creates terms for MDTA and Kiewit to incorporate those early work packages into the project and then begin those critical path construction activities. So just for example, there are the early work packages. We kind of broke it into like three major categories: long lead items, early construction activities, and then miscellaneous support activities for the project. Long lead items would be things like material procurement. So procuring the steel in advance of installing it. And it could be materials for their temporary trestle that they need to support the project. Early construction activities are going to be things that begin work on that critical path. And in that, we count among that demolition. So demolition of the existing structure would count for some of that early construction activity. And finally, miscellaneous support activities are things needed to support the project, to obtain the permits, approvals, and support those early construction activities. So For this entire project, we're following industry best practices. We're utilizing independent cost estimators. So the independent cost estimator will help us with establishing the opinion and probable construction cost. They're looking at the means and methods for the contractor as well as schedule. And then MDTA was able to utilize that to establish a fair price, ultimately for phase 2, but also for each of these early work packages. We'll be going through that process. Early work packages, they would be reviewed and issued on an individual basis with a cumulative sum of all the early work packages to not exceed $250 million. Kind of due to the dynamic and time-sensitive nature of this project in particular and these early work packages, the approval of each of those negotiated packages would be delegated to the chief engineer, and details on scope, price, and the notice to proceed for each of those early work packages will be reported back to the board. So with that, we request board approval to execute the contract amendment 1 to KB 4903 and establish a not-to-exceed amount of $250 million for early work packages.
Good. Any questions for Jim?
Mr. Chairman, I do have a question. So with the new height, have they determined the new depth, or is that part of this process?
So we have been doing some pre-construction activities since January. So we've been doing borings out there which help give us information related to the subsurface conditions. So we have good information on that. The test pile program will allow us to then confirm that data. So that's the intent of the test pile program, which will be starting this summer.
Appreciate it.
Any other questions?
Just to be clear, the total, we were at 115 million, now we're going to 250, so it's another $135 million. The total is 250. We'd already approved up to 115, correct?
Yes, that's the phase 1. The amendment 1 is an additional $250 million.
An additional 250, I just want to make sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Member Von Paris?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jim, first of all, I want to commend you on the great job that you're doing and you have done for MDTA. You've done amazing work here, and you continue to do that. Does moving the design forward, does that help us in pricing going forward? Can we negotiate better pricing by doing this? Is that what's happening here?
So
Part of it?
Part of it, but not tied specifically to this Amendment 1. This Amendment 1 is for those early work packages which help with schedule and being able to advance work that we have enough information on to advance those now or in the near future. That helps us to be able to work on critical path items which help us to maintain schedule while we advance design to a further percent. So we're going to advance to 70%, which allows us to then obtain tighter estimating.
Thanks.
Member Rosen?
Just with regard to the independent cost estimator in that process, so that's how we're determining whether it's fair pricing, since we're in this unique contract method.
Yes.
If the ICE result is less, what happens then?
So it's a little bit of an iterative process where, because we're in this progressive design build, we have open book estimating. We will meet, we'll kind of sync up on our means and methods. Are they approaching it the same way? They'll get some common ground there, and then we'll start to negotiate to see where the difference lies in order to figure out if we can come to agreement or not. And then with all of these things, we do have the options of course, not coming to terms with them on any one of these particular packages.
And are there, and I know it's open book and it's different type of situation, but are there thresholds, meaning if it's, 3 to 4 or 5% above versus 10% where, where ultimately we would have to put it out to bid,
Right.
Which I know would take longer, but I'm just curious how that works.
Yeah, I think that's part of the negotiation process to determine, did we do enough? Is there, do we feel that there's anything more to be gained out of it? And it really comes down to not in terms of a percentage, but rather, do we think we can actually get close, or are we just, unable to move? And that's what's going to trigger a decision on sort of doing something else contractually with it.
Any other questions? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to acknowledge the commitment that Chief Harkness and his team has for this project and for using the progressive design build. It's a very complex process, and these early work packages really are part of these tools that we have available to move this project forward and on time and with more certainty on schedule as well, on budget as well. It also, I feel that it's a good way to mitigate risks and to manage the cost, the quality, and the schedule. So I really commend you for using that, and I support it.
Two questions to comment, or one question to comment. On the ice, that obviously will continue through the entire project, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, so the independent cost estimating process. I think these early packages are so important because I think it is important to keep in mind how the initial project estimate and schedule was developed in 13 days. So this actually gives you much more, hard information, to basically get to the final project that we're all trying to get to. So I appreciate that work, and that's why it's so important to do this, these early packages now. And again, in the entire team, and obviously, Jim, with your leadership, to get this far this quickly is really amazing for the scale of a project like this, the pressure that you're under, that we're under to deliver this in a timely and efficient manner. But we have to do it right, because it's going to be here for many, many years. So I just want to thank you for that as well. Is there a motion for approval if there's no more questions?
Motion to approve, Member Cordova.
Second, Member Sneed.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just...
Yes.
Yeah. So with me today, I have our Director of Project Development, Mr. Jason Stolikny. So Jason has been critical and is one of our key team members on this progressive design build. So his knowledge and experience is invaluable to us, and he's a key member of our team.
Great. Very good. All right, agenda item number 6 is a quarterly review and investment strategy benchmarks approval. Alan?
Thank you. Yeah, this is our normal quarterly update on investment strategy and performance. We review this item in greater detail at the Finance Committee level, where we discuss investment returns and portfolio composition. As is typical, our recommendation is to continue with the existing strategy, and that recommendation was supported by the Finance Committee members. The most important points are that our investments conformed to investment policy limitations and the legal limitations in the trust agreement during the 12-month period. We also adhere to board-approved strategy. Our investment portfolio has essentially two strategies: a matched funding approach, and that's for our capital monies and our operating funds. And then we have a separate group of accounts that are our longer-term reserves, and we have what's termed a duration-targeted approach. So of that $1.1 billion portfolio at the end of March, approximately $676 million of those funds were matched funded. So those were investments in the capital account primarily, and those investment maturities are matched to projected spending. So they either precede or coincide with our expectations for those outflows. The remaining approximately $400 million is managed for total return. That represents our longer-term reserves. The reason for those reserves is that we have a board policy to approximate that unrestricted reserve essentially equal to our annual operating budget. That's also in line with rating agency expectations for entities in the AA ratings category. So they expect you to have essentially an unrestricted cash position that equals your annual operating budget, or approximately 400 days. The duration targeted portfolios maintain a consistent structure, and management does not attempt to time market rate changes. So the general account makes up the bulk of that. It's approximately $350 million, and the investment maturities are staggered from 1 to 5 years. The smaller M&O reserve is only about 5% of our total assets under management. That's our longest duration strategy. We structure those investments from essentially 1 year out to 15 years with an average maturity of approximately 7.5 years. Our chosen strategies and benchmark indices represent what we believe is a reasonable and prudent compromise between long-term, multi-year return or income focus and our tolerance for return volatility. So we're seeking an approval of the continuation of investment strategies and benchmarks for the upcoming quarter.
Thank you.
Thanks for all your work over the years. Obviously, Alan, you're amazing. Interest rates, where do you see them at this point?
I mean, our returns have been, around 5.5% for the whole portfolio, and that's similar, and actually at this time, coincidentally, in our longer-term reserves and the short-term money. So, we don't have any position on where rates are headed. Our main focus has been to manage that portfolio and not change our strategy to remain consistent. So, at times I think rates are headed lower or headed higher, and I'm often wrong, and the Fed's often wrong. And so in our shorter term monies, we're more or less beholden to what's happening in the market. So prevailing rates are 4-ish%. Very long-term part of the Treasury curve's at 5%, but we're, mostly positioned inside of 5 years for the bulk of that. And obviously all the capital money's inside of 12 months. So the MLGIP and money market funds are in, just above 4%. So that's generally what we should be returning, but rates have been coming down on the front end of the curve. So that's what we've been experiencing. So capital money's returned over that trailing 12 months a bit over 5%, but that was more or less just prevailing rates. And then the long-term reserves are extremely volatile. They can have negative returns in a quarter, but for the trailing 12 months, they're about 5.5%. So there's obviously a lot of speculation about what the Fed will do in the face of potentially a slowing economy, the impacts of tariffs on prices and demand. It's very much unknown. And I think that's what the Fed is reiterating, is that they're not sure. They're kind of in a wait-and-see approach with rates. So they've been, not, cutting in recent months or during recent meetings. So we're waiting to see what happens as well.
It's interesting how the Fed, when he speaks, how the markets react. It's very interesting.
They do. There's a lot of volatility each week. It astonishes me that the market thinks rates are headed higher one week, and the next week rates are going lower. And, it's amazing what a little bit of news will sway the markets so quickly.
Thanks, Alan. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to say that the Finance Committee, as Alan mentioned, recommended we stay the course and continue, as you identified here in your outline. So, and I want to thank you for the great work that you and your team are doing.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a motion? Motion for approval?
Okay, I will. I make the motion that we approve this item.
Is there a
Member
second?
Jimmy, I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. That's all right. That's all right. Agenda item number 7, an update on third quarter operating budget. Mr. Brown?
Okay, excuse me, good morning.
Morning.
For the record, my name is Jeffrey Brown, Budget Director for the MDTA. I'm here today to provide an update for the third quarter year-to-date budget versus actual performance. As of March 31st, we have spent 63% of the budget compared to a target of 72%. Except for fixed expenses, all other object codes were at or below budget. And looking at more detail, salaries and wages, object 1 and 2 are at targeted spending levels with a 72% spend rate. Object 3, communications, is at a 21% spend rate, and that's due to the state radio invoice, which comes in once a year and has not been paid, but will be, and when it does, it should come back closer to budget. Travel, object 4, is at a 25% spend rate. This is due to the normal seasonality of third and fourth quarters, so we do expect this to come back closer to budget, but there may be the potential for some savings there. Object 6, fuel and utilities, is slightly below budget at 65%, which is really pretty close to budget, and we do expect this to be close to budget for the full year. Moving on to object 7, excuse me, motor vehicle operations maintenance is below budget with a 47% spend rate. The drivers are vehicle purchases, object 701, which is below budget with a 42% spend rate, and this is due to the police vehicles not being reflected in the numbers yet. We are in the process of receiving them and expect to have them all in prior to the year end, and this should come back closer to budget. Vehicle gas and oil is below budget with a 34% spend rate due to the easing of gas prices compared to budget assumptions, so there may be a potential pickup there. Vehicle repairs and maintenance is slightly below budget, but really pretty much close to budget at 65%, while large vehicle maintenance and repair is above budget with an 83% spend rate. This is driven by supply chain issues with dump trucks not coming in a timely manner. As a result, we've had to spend more on maintenance upkeep on these trucks, which is driving the increase in expense. Contractual services, object 8, is below budget with a 52% spend rate. Drivers are advertising with a 46% spend rate. Typically, the higher promotions occur later in the third and fourth quarters, so again, we do expect this to come back close to budget. Engineers is below budget with a 40% spend rate. Like other objects, there's heavier activity in the third and fourth quarter. However, we do expect to see savings in this object. Equipment repairs and maintenance is below budget with a 3% spend rate. This is the timing of one of our IT invoices, which has not hit yet. When it does, we do expect this to come back to budget, but given our assumptions, there might be some savings there as well. Building repairs and maintenance is below budget with a 59% spend rate. Again, typically higher third and the fourth quarter, and I do see an uptick in activity in April, so we do expect this to come back closer to budget. Education and training is below with a 41% spend. Again, normal seasonality. However, there does seem to be some reduced activity since COVID. It's never completely snapped back, so we do expect potential savings there. Management studies is below budget with a 25% spend. This is due depending on when the studies occur. We do expect this to come back close to budget. Fiscal services is close to budget with a 62% spend rate. So not much to say there. It's pretty much on budget. While Easy Pass Service Center cost is below budget with a 51% spend, but we do anticipate to spend the budget for the full year, while other contractual services is below budget with a 42% spend, but again, we do expect this to come back. Supplies and materials, object 9, is below budget with a 58% spend. That's driven by roadway maintenance at 51%. Again, timing of activities, we do expect an uptick on those expenses, while salt's at 52%, and due to our reduced winter activity this year, this should be a savings for this year. Uniforms is slightly below budget, but that's pretty much on budget at a 62% spend, while ammunition is over with an 87% spend rate. This is due to ongoing supply chain issues in terms of we budget one year, there's a long delay, and it winds up hitting in different years. So, just a mismatch in the timing of the funds. So this may be a bit of a risk for the full year. Transponders is close to budget at 62%, and we do expect that to come back towards budget. Object 10, replacement equipment, is at a 72% spend. That's driven by microcomputers, which is below budget with a 30% spend. We do expect some additional charges, but we've pretty much met most of our requirements, so we're expecting some volume and price savings in that area. Other replacement equipment is below budget with a 7% spend. Again, this is the timing. We're waiting on a major order, so we do expect this to come back close to budget. Object 11 is at a which is additional equipment, is at a 36% spend rate. Again, timing of orders, this should come back, but there's the potential from savings there as well. And as mentioned, the one object over budget, fixed objects, object 13, is at 124%. That's due to the two insurances. One's more vehicle insurance, which is close to budget with a 64% spend. I do see an uptick in April, so that potential risk, while the big one is the insurance for Object 1309, which is at 129%, which is the increased premiums for the property and liability insurance, which we've talked to about in the past. So overall, we continue to monitor the budget. There is some risk for overspending in certain objects, but we expect to at least more than offset that in underspending in other objects. That concludes my presentation. I'm happy to take questions at this time.
Any questions? Just one, and I'm sure it's just because it's end of year. So on object one with salaries and wages, some of those big swings on employee retirement system and things like that, that's because it just hits at the end of the year? Is that why that's?
That's why, I'm sorry.
The burn rate right now is 50,000 out of 18 million.
Are you, which object? are you-
Object one, 0161.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, you're looking at the, I don't have that committed memory, which is pension?
Yeah, you don't.
Is that pension? I don't recall.
Yeah, it's-
Okay.
I'm just
No,
assuming
what
that's
happens
it.
with that is there's some charges that hit those burden,
Right.
what we call the fringe objects, but not, most of that comes through the burden expense. So
Okay.
the way we budget, there's a mismatch when you look on the report.
Right, right.
You actually have to compare them all together.
I
You
see.
have to look, the burden, most of those expenses in that, memory, 0175, I think, that's the burden charges, and that's where most of the fringes will hit.
Okay.
We budget in the individual lines. Now,
Individual,
some
I see,
actuals
I
do
see.
hit there as well, but most of them don't. So you almost have to, this is a question that's come out in the past. It's hard to kind of tease that apart. You have to combine them together to really look at
Yes.
what's going with that.
Just when you look down the chart, you see these huge swings, that's all. Okay. Any other questions?
This member Von Paris, I just have one recommendation, and that is we kind of work hard at a strategy for insurance going forward. A pretty deep study on that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Agenda item number 8 is the third quarter capital budget comparison. Ms. Stubb?
Hello and good morning. I'm Jennifer Stump, the Assistant Capital Program Manager. Today, I'm presenting the third quarter review of the fiscal year 2025 capital budget versus the actual spending as outlined in the fiscal year 2025 to 2030 draft CTP. This information was also presented to the Finance and Administration Committee on May 8th. As of March 31st, 2025, 36.5% of the fiscal year 25 $809.8 million budget was spent as compared to the targeted spending level of 75%. Actual spending through the third quarter was $295.9 million. 33 of the 91 projects budgeted in fiscal year 2025 were within acceptable spending limits of 50 to 100%, which is plus or minus 25% of the 75% target. Due to normal lags in invoicing, generally 2 months, a plus or minus 25% threshold was determined to be reasonable. Attachment A details 10 projects that were budgeted with the highest fiscal year 2025 budgets. Actual spending through the third quarter on these 10 projects was $215.1 million. Overall spending in fiscal year 2025 remained low through the third quarter due to the project invoicing delays related to the Key Bridge rebuild. Specifically, only Kiewitz expenditures through January have been posted. The general engineering consultant contract just started invoicing and therefore are not reflected in the third quarter year-to-date expenditures, and State Highway Administration has yet to invoice MDTA for the interim GEC or other state highway costs. Additionally, the rehab decks of the eastbound span Phase 1 deck widening and replacement of the deck truss spans project had a scope change that moved a large portion of the anticipated work to Phase 2 of the overall project. Negotiations with the contractor for a second package of Phase 1 to execute an additional contract were not successful. However, MDTA has been negotiating with the contractor further to add a portion of work in order to take advantage of the large equipment that's already mobilized to the bridge site. This concludes the quarterly update. Please let me know if there's any questions or concerns.
Any questions? Great, thank you so much. Agenda item number 9 is quarterly update on traffic and revenue.
morning.
Good morning.
For the record, my name is Cheryl Lewis-Orr, Director of Revenue, and I'll be presenting the board with a quarterly and year-to-date update regarding traffic and revenue trends compared to the previous year and the forecast. Key takeaways for the period ending March 31st, 2025, overall collected revenue was above forecast by $23.5 million when adjusting for timing differences. An increase in collected revenue by CCU has improved our overall performance. Video toll revenue was $4.2 million higher than expected. Civil penalty fee revenue was $21.6 million higher than forecasted. Our year-to-date toll transactions and revenue decreased relative to the same period last year by 3.2 million transactions and $19.3 million due to the Francis Scott Key collapse. For big picture analysis, I want to direct your attention to attachment A on page 3. You will see that our Easy Pass revenue was under forecast by $3.6 million roughly, and that minor difference was really mainly due to the FMT, the fire at the FMT. We were over video, administrative, and pay-by-plate by $27.1 million. As I mentioned before, the CCU collections, mainly the tax intercept program, improved our performance there. Overall, our forecasted, our actual over forecast was $23.5 million for the period ending March 31st, 2025. We do have our consultants looking into the variance, since it was so large, to determine if we'll see what our collections will look like in the future, if we'll see similar collections, or as we suspect this is a one-time large gain, but hopefully we'll continue to have improvement in the years to come. Any questions?
Any questions?
Mr. Chair, may I ask a question? Was this the first year of the tax intercept, or is?
This isn't the first year, but it's the first year in a long time.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Agenda item number 10 is a Consolidated Transportation Program process update and additions. Stump
Good
again.
morning again.
Good morning.
I'm Jennifer Stump, the Assistant Capital Program Manager. Today, I'm presenting the Consolidated Transportation Program process and additions. This information was also presented to the Capital Committee on May 1st. Each year, the Maryland Transportation Authority releases the CTP, which presents MDTA's ongoing and new capital projects for a 6-year rolling period. After approval by the board, the draft CTP is presented to local officials and citizens throughout Maryland for review and comment. It is then revised and presented as the final CTP and presented to the board in the fall for approval to be part of the governor's budget to the Maryland General Assembly in January. The CTP is separated into 3 parts: construction program major projects, development and evaluation program major projects, and system preservation minor projects. Major capital projects are listed individually, and minor projects are grouped and shown by category of work. The construction program major projects and system preservation minor project programs include ongoing projects and those projects scheduled to begin construction within the 6-year period. The D&E program contains those major projects which are being prepared for possible future addition to the construction program. Projects are moved from the D&E program to the construction program as funds and resources become available and based on merits of the projects. For project selection, MDTA's capital projects originate from a variety of sources. The long-range capital needs includes planned rehabilitation or replacement projects based on life cycle. The expected useful life of a component does not provide an exact rehabilitation or replacement date, but gives an idea of when MDTA should begin planning and budgeting to address it. Inspection findings used in tandem with life cycle estimates to confirm rehabilitation or replacement is necessary as scheduled or to expedite a project when it is needed ahead of schedule. Regulatory compliance includes projects for EPA mandated stormwater management, increased capacity needs based on traffic forecast recommendations, and local priority letters or legislative requests established each year as Maryland counties and Baltimore City are asked to submit a list of priorities for the state transportation system. Once identified, projects are prioritized based on customer needs for safety and security or increased capacity through improvements or system preservation. Funding availability to budget for identified projects is based on the MDTA 6-year financial forecast, which considers estimates of traffic and revenues, the operating budget and capital budget, debt service payments, the potential need for future bond sales and toll increases, and compliance with financial standards. The fiscal year 2026 to 2031 draft CTP includes 9 new projects which are detailed in Attachment A. Those 9 projects are on-call structural repairs, which is a multi-area project, the Tidings Bridge cleaning, painting, and miscellaneous repairs, which is a Kennedy Highway project, the I-395 deck replacements, which is a Baltimore Harbor Tunnel project, replace Erdman Avenue bridges over I-895, which is also a Baltimore Harbor Tunnel project, Environmental On-Call 5, which is a multi-area project, Hayden Admin and Police Building Rehabilitation, which is a Hayden Bridge project, Eastbound Spans Full Paint Phase 1, which is T14 to T22, and suspension span towers from the water to the below roadway is a William Preston Lane Memorial Bridge project. Rehab decks of the eastbound span Phase 2, which is a William Preston Lane Memorial Bridge project, and fire alarm system upgrades and security system upgrades, which is a multi-area project. And this would conclude the CTP process and additions presentation.
Any questions, Member Cox?
Thank you very much. I'm looking through all these projects and the needs obviously are there. But if you look on Phase 2 of the William Preston Lane, the bridge, engineering, 9.1 million only for engineering. I mean, that seems, the others seem, reasonable, but this, what does that, I looked at, what the explanation is, but I don't quite understand the total cost. Jeff, can you maybe give me a little insight?
So for this new project, we are only funding engineering. So just the design of the project for the Phase 2 redecking. So the amount that you see under this new project is only to cover the design services. So as we advance design, we'll come back and we'll fund it for construction at a later point, which is when there'll be more money allocated to the project.
But engineering only is 9.1 million, is that correct?
Yes.
Jim, doesn't that include evaluation too, though?
Yeah, so it includes the evaluation of how we're going to deliver this project, including if we're going with alternative delivery, then we're going to put together the request for proposals, evaluate it. It's all going to get covered under this engineering only item.
But also like conditions of the bridge and that kind of thing?
Not for this. Not for this particular line item. This is to prepare the contract documents for the eventual construction of this project. Our inspection program, which is under our AE service contracts, that is where we get our inspection data. That informs us of the need to perform the project, and then this money funds the study and design in order to create the construction project.
Jim, to Member Cox's question, is this in scale, the $9 million for this engineering, is that in scale with what we did in Phase 1? In terms of the scale,
Yes,
the level
it
of
would be,
investment?
We utilize that as a basis for our estimate of the engineering costs.
Thanks. Yep. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you so much. Agenda item number 11, Executive Director's Report. Mr. Gardner?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
And and thank you for your patience going through a pretty meaty agenda there. As you can see, we've been very busy on the procurement side with 6 contract awards for you today. Continuing monitoring of the $2.2 billion in open contracts, and obviously continued diligence on our budgets and our revenue numbers. So really thank the staff for the good work on that. I get to focus in my remarks on kind of the people side of the house. What we're doing to both honor our employees over the past month, and what we're doing to keep our customers safe. So before getting into all that, I did want to acknowledge a new member of our executive office team of the administrative staff. Kendra Joseph has joined us yesterday to fill a vacancy in the office. You all got to meet her beforehand, but Kendra comes to us from 3 years at the SHA and extensive experience in the private sector of transportation logistics, but glad to have her on board. So welcome, Kendra. Moving into to some of our other events that took place, and thank you all for your participation in the various events that we had. So I turned on the mic, but it wasn't working. I just want to acknowledge that it was, is this on, Chris, always? Okay. So I'm always the problem case, I guess. So anyway, we started off in early May that some of you attended our Fallen Heroes ceremony on May 2nd that the MDTA police put on. Thank you very much to the chief and Lieutenant Colonel for, again, really doing a great job to help honor those former employees that died in the line of duty this year. They did a focus, as they started to do, on one of our officers up on the Hayden detachment from an incident back in September of 1986. So always a very meaningful event that they put on there. And this year, the employees were honored. Colonel Scott also attended the national event in D.C. to that national recognition. So, in looking out for our communities, on May 19th, we did partnered with the Turner Station Conservation Team to host a community job fair that was held at the Sawyers Point Recreation Center. The event featured 20 employers, agencies, and workforce development organizations, along with representatives from various city and county offices. MDOT had several agencies in attendance, including the MVA, the Port Administration, and our MDTA police. We drew about 35 attendees across various age groups, and very appreciative response from the Turner Station, and just request to look out for them in the future as different opportunities come up, given that impact that the Key Bridge rebuild and the collapse has had on them. Memorial Day was, as always, the kickoff to kind of that summer travel season. We had a campaign kickoff with our focus on reminding drivers to call the baseband number, 1-877-BASEBAND, and to visit our website and to look for travel tips on the timing of the Bay Bridge. But, really, events can change in a moment, as we saw on Tuesday this past week. We had made it through the weekend, but had incidents down there that, due to some unsafe driving. And just also in that light, wanted to compliment the MDTA police that conducted an agency-wide high visibility enforcement on Friday, May 23rd, and performed 568 traffic stops in one day. So in that time, they took 17 drunk drivers off the roadways during or in the holiday weekend, and that day in the holiday weekend. So just want to really thank our police force for that, and also our partnership with Queen Anne's, the County Sheriff's Office, to do some Red X lane enforcement with a total of 71 traffic stops that were conducted during that initiative. So always being vigilant and keeping safety in mind as these particular summer travel season is coming on. So on May 20th, we continued to honor our employees that are with us on a day-to-day basis, and in the past year for their activities to support the MDTA. We had the annual rodeo and awards presentation and expo. It's our signature agency-wide event and brings together all aspects of the MDTA into one place, one day for training and employee recognition. So not only do we have a rodeo where the operations staff and the VRTs are getting to display their skills and be honored, but our offices, our administrative offices, exhibit and help educate all the employees on all the aspects of the agency. We keep improving each year, and holding this event this year, we actually were able to use a local women-owned catering company, Tina M, for lunch to serve our employees. It was a great showing by them. And we also raised, through efforts of Natalie and others, Paul Trunich, about $1,500 for the Maryland Charity Campaign, and some additional funding to support future employee activities. So with the rodeo, we honored 3 top place finishers. 2 of those will get to go on and face other agencies in a competition. But Antonio Luis from the Bay Bridge, Dave Snyder from JFK2, and Mike Fink from Fort McHenry Tunnel were our top 3 places, with Antonio being first place and Mike being third place. So on the VRT Challenge event, we had 3 winners as well. One from the ICC, Ryan Highland. I believe Ryan might have been a brand new employee that finished strongly. So kudos to us for our recruitment efforts. A brand new employee is doing really well in skills competition. James Ling from JFK and Matt Blagman finished out the awards there. So we had also the annual awards recipients that were recognized at the event. So we had 8 individuals in one team. Those individuals be honored and pointed out in connections. You all receive a copy of that. I'll just say that we honored everything from, we have Rising Star Award, Supervisor of the Year Awards, Award of Excellence, Heroism Award, Leading by Example, and Customer Service, the Unsung Hero Award, and in addition to our Distinguished Leader Award. So great employee recognitions in that, as well as team recognition for Unmatched Dedication Award, and those were members of our Fort McHenry Tunnel Easy Pass team. So thank you, those of you who could attend the event. Scheduling is always tight. We had great weather this year, so if you come in the future, just hope that you got the good weather that we got this past year. Looking ahead, the next installment of Doing Business with MDTA is going to be held on Monday at MDOT headquarters. And then we have a service event. The Office of Environment, Safety, and Risk Management is leading a public service project over in Rock Creek Regional Park on June 7th in the morning. And we're also looking forward to being part of an MDOT-wide safety fair on June 11th. So that concludes my remarks, and just wanted that opportunity to take time to honor our employees and our agency's commitment to our customers. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions? Bruce? Yeah, thank you, Bruce, and obviously the entire team for all you do. We've now reached the closed portion of the agenda. This closed session is scheduled for board members and designated staff. For those persons in this room and in the live stream, as soon as we have completed the closed session, we will come back to this room to ratify any actions that might be taken in closed session and to continue with the remainder of the agenda in open session. We appreciate your patience. Per the Maryland Open Meetings Act, the MDTA Board will meet in closed session under General Provisions Article Section 3-305B14 to discuss Phase 2 contract negotiations to reach a guaranteed maximum price for KB 4903, and Section 3-305B8 to discuss litigation pending in federal court involving the state regarding the Francis Scott Key Bridge elision docketed as case number 24-CV000941. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
So moved, Carol.
Second, Member Snead.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the time now is 10:09 a.m. We will now go into closed session. Thank you. good to go?
Be nice to have that go ahead.
Just make sure that, okay. All right, good morning again. The time now is 11:06 a.m., and the board has completed its closed session. There were no actions taken in closed session that require ratification. At this point, the agenda is complete. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second? All in favor? Aye. Thank you. That concludes the meeting at 11:06.